Today we're going to be checking out Walt Disney Presents from Mickey Mouse to the Magic Kingdoms and beyond. Let's take a closer look. Hi everybody, welcome to the world of Micah. Today I'm here at Disney's Hollywood Studios to check out Walt Disney Presents. Let's take a closer look. Now a lot of people know this place as One Man's Dream, but they actually changed the name. Now it's known as Walt Disney Presents from Mickey Mouse to the Magic Kingdom and beyond. But it still features One Man's Dream inside. These are some pretty incredible photos they have right as you walk in, including this one of Walt showing off his original ideas for Epcot. I'm a huge fan of this photo of Walt and Mickey together in the shadow there, but if you walk right under that little box right there and listen closely.
I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing. That it was all started by a mouse.
Well, Walt, you always say it was started by a mouse, but you know what? To me, it was all started by you. Look at Mickey's hand. He has 5 fingers instead of 4. Nowadays, Mickey only has 4 fingers. It's a picture of Walt's dad, mom, and baby Walt right there. And the first stop is his early inspirations from when he was just a little boy growing up in Marceline, Missouri. And they say Walt got his inspiration from Main Street USA from Marceline, Missouri. And right here, they have a little model from Disneyland. This is Main Street USA from 1954. And if you look on the little plaques here, it does say Walt Disney Imagineering Collection. If any of the plaques say that, the things on display are legit. Now right here is a desk from when Walt was a little boy. Now this is a recreation because the little placard over here does not say it's on loan from anybody, but you can see they scratched Walt's initials WD in the desk just like in that photo right there. Pretty crazy to think that there actually was a time before Mickey Mouse. Look at this old photo of Walt and his brother Roy. I have no idea who this little girl is, but I'm sure she has something to do with these old Alice Hunting in Africa comics and Alice's Spooky Adventure comics. So innovative of Walt to mix live action and cartoons together. He was doing that all the way back in 1924. And this right here is pretty interesting to me. Walt actually worked with Universal Studios when he did Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. And Universal Studios owned Oswald for a very long time. A couple of years ago, Disney acquired the rights back to Oswald, and that's why you guys see Oswald now in the parks. And then he finally did it. Walt created Mickey Mouse. In 1928, on a train from New York to Los Angeles, Walt dreamed of a new character to star in his next motion picture. His name was Mortimer. And if it wasn't for Lillian changing Walt's mind about naming Mickey Mortimer, we would not have Mickey Mouse. Well, we would have Mickey Mouse, but he would be known as Mortimer Mouse. I just don't think I could call this guy Mortimer. I love watching these old videos of Walt sketching Mickey and how different he looked back then. Another thing I love about One Man's Dream is that they have on display old collectibles and plush from way back in the day. Look at these old Disney character plush from 1932. And this early Mickey Mouse merchandise is all the way back from 1932. Now this is the famous travel trunk that was Walt Disney's all the way back from 1928. If you look right there, it says it's from the Walt Disney Archives collection, which means it's legit. And look right there, you can see his initials, W.E. Disney. Walt worked at this desk when he was in production on Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and the Silly Symphonies, and he used this desk all the way up till 1940 when he moved the studio to Burbank. This is a reproduction of the famous multi-plane camera. As you guys can see, the camera would be all the way up top, and then they would have different layers of different background scenes. And the way it worked was, the camera would shine all the way through each of the paintings. And this is exactly what it would look like through the multi-plane. It looks like you were actually going through the scene. Now, like I said, this is a reproduction, but right here is a photo of the actual multi-plane camera. Look how huge this thing was. And when you think about it, those scenes were only a couple of seconds. Walt created an entire thing just for a couple of seconds of footage. Really cared about his animation. This right here is pretty much one of the oldest forms of animatronics, if you want to call it that. This is the Dancing Man prototype figure. So as you can see, they had Buddy Ebsen dancing in front of a grid on a stage. The guys would film it, pay close attention to how he was dancing, and then they built this mechanism. And as this thing turns, the dancing man here was connected to strings, and those strings would be pulled in different ways, exactly how Buddy Ebsen would be dancing against the grid. So many people walk by what most people think is just a box of wood and some wires. Actually, this is a miniature diorama of Granny's cabin that Walt Disney hand-built himself. This is the actual one. This is from all the way back in 1949. After Walt built this one, when he was working on Disneyland, he started building miniature models of like Main Street USA, and that way the Imagineers and construction workers knew exactly what they were building. It's just pretty insane to think that Walt Disney actually built this himself, hammered those nails in right there. So the next time you walk by this basically pile of wood and exposed wires, just know that Walt Disney built this himself. Not a lot of people know this, but Walt actually had his own miniature train in his backyard. This little train right here was actually called the Carrollwood Pacific Railroad. And there's Walt taking a trip in his backyard. Look at that. Could you imagine riding on a miniature train with Walt Disney? All of these amazing animated films, major motion pictures led to the invention and idea of Walt's biggest project yet. Here you leave today and enter the world of yesterday, tomorrow, and fantasy. Walt Disney's Disneyland. You remember the cabin we were just talking about that Walt built himself? Well, that inspired these little mini models that they used for Disneyland. Although this is a reproduction of the original Disneyland Sleeping Beauty Castle, this is exactly what they looked like. Walt Disney started his own television series on ABC called Walt Disney Presents. And every Sunday, Walt would be on ABC with his television program promoting his new park, Disneyland. So basically in 1955 when Disneyland opened, everyone knew all about the park because of his famous television show. And you gotta think, this is before Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, anything. There's no social media. The only way to promote yourself was on television, so Walt basically did that. Now, not only did this television show promote Disneyland the park, but it also started a whole bunch of new television series that all became instant classics, such as Scarecrow from Romney Marsh, Davy Crockett, Zorro, and yes, the famous Mickey Mouse Club. And they have a nice display case here with a lot of different props and pieces from the Mickey Mouse Club. Now take a look at this photo. You can see Karen and Annette standing on that little bass drum, and that bass drum is right there. That is the actual bass drum from that photo. And take a look at Karen's outfit here. They have the entire outfit on display. Look how tiny Karen was. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this is true, but someone told me that this was an actual Dumbo the Flying Elephant from the early days of Disneyland. And if you guys can see, there's a little red button right there which made the elephant go up and down. And another thing you can see in there is the actual seat belt. So who knows, that could actually be Dumbo from Disneyland. And in this display case, it's everything from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Check these props out. This is pretty incredible, right? Look at that diver's helmet. And this is the original Cinderella Castle model from 1971. I love this display case because it pays tribute to Miss Mary Blair, and you can see her in this photograph with Walt Disney right here. And look behind them, you can see the facade entrance to It's a Small World from Disneyland. Right above it is a little piece of that facade. And if you've ever wondered how an audio-animatronic worked, at least in the early days, you're in luck. Basically, the engineer would sit here and push and twist each of the knobs that would control different parts of the audio-animatronic body. This would all be recorded, and then when they pushed play, the audio-animatronic right here would start to move. Now this is the actual Abraham Lincoln audio-animatronic that was used at the New York World's Fair from 1964 to 1965. Now these models are still continue to be used today. As you can see, this is from 1992, the Tower of Terror, and that is the actual model of Spaceship Earth from 1980. And as you finish One Man's Dream, you make your way into the newer section of Walt Disney Presents, where they show new and upcoming attractions coming to Disney's Hollywood Studios, including Toy Story Land and Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which is a tongue twister that's going to be inside the former Great Movie Ride building, the Chinese Theater. And you can also meet Star-Lord and Groot right over there. Now right over here is a very, very cool theater. It's the Walt Disney Theater that shows a short film narrated by Julie Andrews based on Walt Disney's life. Pretty incredible. If you've never seen it, make sure you get here and go and see this film. And while you sit here and wait ready for the next showtime, you can look around at these other props they have from Saving Mr. Banks. This is Aunt Ellie's costume and props from the movie. Even the famous umbrella. Look how incredible that is. And this is the actual dress and hat that she wore in the film. And they also have the gown and invitation from P.L. Travers in the film. Here's the gown she wore, and these are the prop invitation and tickets that were used in the film. Well, I hope you guys learned some new things about Walt Disney or found a better appreciation for the man. He always said it was started by a mouse, but if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have that mouse. So thanks for watching, everybody, and thank you, Walt, for everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos because, hey, it's free. I'll see you on the next episode of World of Mike, everybody. Until then, stay weird. Goodbye.